One of the questions we get regularly is how should people talk with their clients about using AI? And you now have these systems that are essentially listening, sometimes recording the conversations to try to help out, the planner, the advisor. And we have a few simple ways of doing this because it can be, frankly, scary for clients, especially as a lot of people have clients who are maybe a little older and just less tech familiar. But our first rule is with financial planning and services, the client, the trust they have in you is extreme, and you need to maintain that trust. You just need to be very transparent about, honestly, whether your state requires these things or not. Like, just tell them that you're using these systems. And what we see is that generally they understand. So if you say something like, hey, we're using an AI system to help us follow up more quickly with you and make sure that we have the data that we need to make sure that your plan is as good as it can be for you, that's great. And then typically follow up with how you're doing things to protect their data. So for us specifically, depending on what you're doing, like we either are not recording or we will not keep recordings of this. And there are other important things that we do in our software as an example. Like by default, we won't quote people, which sounds small, but is a very big thing for privacy, because you can say that we're talking about something and I can kind of agree or disagree. It doesn't really matter. If you're quoting me directly, that's actually a lot more kind of personal and private for me. So in general, saying that you're doing it, talking about what you're doing and what you've done to ensure that the data is protected. Like, we've reviewed the systems, we ensure that we control the data fully, and this is going to sit in our other systems that we've already approved. If you have, an IT security team review these things, mention that. And then essentially say what is getting done to make sure that that person doesn't feel like they may be exposed for having a conversation that's typically very personal for them, right? Because finances are very personal for a lot of people. And what you're doing really is helping them plan parts of their life. And so those are really the big three things for us. And what we've seen is that works quite well. People understand that everyone's busy. They want to be using things that can improve their life and the service you provide them. But they just need to understand how they're getting used and essentially what you've done to help protect them as their client.